logos and colors and fonts and how things look, that is a part of branding, but it's only a part of it. The branding is so much more than just the visual side.
Do you ever feel stuck, overwhelmed, or unsure about what to do next to grow your business? You are not alone, and this is the podcast for you. Welcome to Boost Your Business by Business Heroes. This is where service based entrepreneurs, whether you're delivering in person, online, or a mix of both, come to get the strategies, the insights, and actionable steps you need to level up your business with clarity, confidence, and impact. So let's dive in. Kim Westerlund, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I am so happy to finally have you on the show, and I would love to have you present yourself a little bit for those who are tuning in so they know more about you and your background.
Yes, my name is Kim Westerlund, and I am co-founder of the Branding Table. I'm also work as a branding strategist. I've been working in the creative marketing advertising field about 20 plus years now. And it's been working with small clients, big clients, local clients, global clients, and been doing pretty much everything there is to do in between there.
And I've been listening to so many of your trainings and your seminars, and you are an expert in simplifying how we can look at brands. And today we are going to deep dive into how we can simplify branding to establish yourself as an expert. And of course, it's not just about you as an expert, as an owner, it's also about your business. So we're going to deep dive into both of those things today at this conversation. So let's start with the first question. Why is branding so important for business owners?
Well, if I usually present this in a way that it's there are competitors out there, and that's just a fact of life. And one of the things that is the best thing is to have competitors, because then you have somebody to push you, to make you better, and to make you help your clients. So this competition is amazing, but at the same time, we often tend to say and sell pretty much the same thing as our competitors. So it's really hard for clients or your potential clients to know who to choose. And the scariest trap there is, of course, price. Then it's just like, well, I'll just sell for a little bit cheaper than my competitors. And that's the competitors also think that way. And then it's a price war, and it just becomes cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. And that's not good for business. That's everybody's going to get bankrupt eventually. But then you have something more that you can give, which is not your product. It's rather, what is it that this product that you give, product or service, what it is it that this creates? Uh, it's something special. It's something unique. It's something more than just the product or service. And it's pretty much that, which is the brand. It's this emotional triggers and feelings and belonging, all of these aspects, which are, this is what the brand is. And it becomes such a big part of your business strategy to separate yourself along this way using branding.
So it seems like it's much more than just the logo that we see or the packaging of the products.
Definitely. When I often talk to people and I often hear that, oh, I work with branding and strategies. Okay, so you make logos. And logos and colors and fonts and how things look, that is a part of branding, but it's only a part of it. The branding is so much more than just the visual side. And that's always good um, to start thinking about. I'm using the term branding and not just saying brand. It's good to learn how these two separate each other. For example, if we take a really big famous example, now I'm a bit I really want a coffee right now, so I think about Starbucks. And there's everybody has an interpretation of what Starbucks is. Good coffee, bad coffee, crowded, not crowded, lovely place, bad place, but they still have an interpretation. So everybody has their own thoughts and feeling about a brand. So a brand to me is very different. For example, you, Sarah, you might think differently about Starbucks, but that is brand. That is just having a brand, an interpretation of brand. And then the internal Starbucks, they also have a feeling of their brand, and that's their thoughts. But branding is a process to make all these different interpretations, everybody thinking differently, some good, some bad, and bringing them to feel the same thing about your brand. That's called branding. It's a long term process. It doesn't stop. You will never be finished with this.
So I'm so happy that you brought it up, Starbucks. I think you can see on a lot of my shows, I have a Starbucks mug in my hand. Right now, I have a
Yeah.
Tennessee one on my desk because I pick up one each time I go out for a seminar or a speaking engagement. So I have several
Right.
ones
So
around the
you're a
office.
fan, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm a
So
fan,
you're.
but
So
I
I
can
think
tell.
Starbucks wants to make everybody like Sarah.
Yeah, exactly. And it's contagious. So people are like, I got like, I had a Facebook or a LinkedIn live yesterday day, and I had the original cup, which is not as all looking at the ones that are in the different shops right now, because someone who I was speaking with about this brought it from the original store to bring it to me. So I have that as well. But the thing is, when I think about the Starbucks, is when you talk about branding, I came to New York and I was at the Times Square. It was freezing cold. It was like February, and New York can really be cold that time of the year. And I came into the Starbucks coffee shop and I wanted to have something to go. And I ordered what I wanted, and I got a sticker on my mug with my name printed on it from a data label. And I got so disappointed. I was like, this is not
Oh,
on brand. This is not what I
yeah.
expected. I expected someone to draw
Mm,
my name and ask me how I spelled it and puts a star or a heart with it. And I got
mm.
a label from a printing machine with my name on it with like a bar, it's like a barcode on it. I was like, what is this? This is not what I expected. So
Wow.
sometimes
Yeah.
when you have a brand, it's so important to be on brand all the time. Like you said, it's a process, and it's really something that
Exactly.
we have to live with and experience every single time
Mm,
we have an interaction of some kind of sorts. We are checked
mm.
by the branding and the brand that we built,
Yeah.
and it's sometimes it's disconnected. So I think that's a good way of thinking about brand always being something that you work on.
Yeah. That's a lovely example.
So when a business or a person wants to start using branding for credibility to like really build themselves as an expert in their field, what kind of key aspects do you have?
I assume that this person, of course, is also representing a company. So one of the biggest challenges will always be, when am I my brand and when am I representing the company? And especially as an owner, sometimes those become quite interlinked. And that makes so sometimes a little bit different, especially if it is that, for example, you as a person might not mirror the company uh, exactly, that you're quite mirror each other. So what I'm getting is that if you're usually is if you're an owner or founder of a company and you're driving you're building a business, usually the business is built and kind of mirrors your personality a little bit. It reflects you, how you are and how you work. So it tends to be that it's quite easy to do this. Um, but then so that's very good to keep in mind, that you don't try to create this, for example, the brand for your company shouldn't be completely different to how you as a person are. So for example, if it's, let's say that if you're quite calm as a person, you're quite analytical and you're quite careful in how you are as a person, and that probably reflects on how you might represent yourself on social media, then it's quite hard to have a Harley Davidson brand feel with, which is smoke and like leather jackets and attitude. And you being a front figure for that, that would be it would be a very, very strong conflict for your potential viewers. So you have to think of, as a business owner, you're also representing the brand. So either, if it's not about changing who you are, it's just kind of being clear and understanding is, okay, this is how I am, this is how I am as a person, this is how other people see me. How is it with my brand? Am I the best suitable person to be a front figure for my brand? Most of the time it's going to be yes. And the question is also, how can you, the brand, help mirror your personality? And right, vice versa, how can the your personality help build a stronger brand for your company?
Yeah, we can also see that the companies that are very intertwined with their owner or their founder, they
Yes.
if they do something that they don't expect, they get
Mm.
maybe a disconnect of, I thought the brand of the company was doing this good, and now this
Yes.
person is not, in their point of view, a good person. So
Mm.
it really is, like you said, it's something that
Mm.
you have to think about as a founder and as an
Yeah.
owner, that you are the brand. Even if you're not trying to build your personal brand, you are the brand anyway, because you are so connected with it. If you're not
Uh,
hiding and saying that
exactly.
you are like, again, a big company, and you're hiding behind logos and like all the other images, and not being the one who's in the sofa on the TV show, or that you are not the one who's having a press conference, or you are not those people because you have someone else taking your space, that's different. But I think that as long as you are the front figure of the company, it's a lot of responsibility to think about, I think.
Yeah, I think it's there's a lot of great examples of famous founders or key figures in companies. One of the biggest contrasts is, for example, Steve Jobs and Apple, and on the other side, you might have Bill Gates and Microsoft. I think both of those they're amazing, two amazing people, but are just on a little bit of a different sides of the spectrum. And you can see that, for example, how the companies have developed, but you could also see, for example, in their keynote speeches, how they carry themselves on stage, how they use language in certain ways, and which kind of jokes they do. And you can almost mirror that to their brands. They are very, very interlinked. So looking at those two, Bill Gates or Steve Jobs, you can always see a little bit like, well, am I more towards Bill or Steve?
And do you think that people are buying the product or service based on like the brand of the person that is the founder?
It's one of the rational arguments that you tell yourself why you should buy.
Hmm.
So now I just mentioned uh, the rational decision making. There's a study by Daniel Kahneman. He wrote the book Thinking Fast and Slow. Um, he made a study where uh, researched what type of decisions we make. And 90% of our decisions are emotional decisions, while 10% of our decisions are rational. So, for example, if I want to buy a new laptop, now I have everything Apple around me. See, my watch uh, it's a Apple Watch. So I, where I'm on this decision making. But at some point I got this feeling that, oh my god, these computers, or it was a laptop, it was like an old PowerBook was my first Mac. um, there was something emotional that I was just like, wow, I want this. And then I started making all these rational decisions. It's like, okay, they are faster, they have like good technology, they will last longer. They weren't that many viruses for Macs at that time. It still seems like there's not that many. So those rational arguments come afterwards. But first is that emotional. Um, so back to your question of, do the founders or it was like, if they make me decide.
Well, they influence your decision. Like you identify
Yes,
with,
they
like you said, the
influence me.
two
Yeah.
different computer geeks, the Gates and the Jobs. Like you
Yeah,
identify with one of them, and that's why you decide to look into their products or their services.
exactly. Yes. Yeah, so it's a yes and no question, but how the founder or the key figure of the company presents themselves, how they talk, and what kind of posts they do, um, that does affect, like everything in branding. It's also like if there's a spelling mistake in your post, that will affect people in some way. Either they might think that wasn't very serious, there was a spelling mistake, or it's like, oh, this is a human person, spelling mistakes happen. So it's impossible to say if it's a good decision, or like not a decision, but if a spelling mistakes come into some text on a social media post, maybe that wouldn't be accepted on the company side, but on the owner side that might be interpreted in a different way. But it's really hard to say how it does, but it does have an effect. And that's the interesting part about branding, that everything, just choosing green or light green, that has an effect. Big or small, it's quite impossible to say, but it doesn't. It does have an effect.
And that's what I like when it comes to branding. It's just going beyond the logo type, you can say, or the brand itself. It's so much more when you start looking into it. And I think that we as small business owners that has service based businesses, it's
Yeah.
hard sometimes because we look at these big companies and we look at the big people that have funds that are kind of unlimited to start doing all the branding when it comes to logos and colors, and like they buy the Super Bowl ads, like they have all these things,
Yeah.
and we feel like, oh, maybe we are not like it's maybe we cannot do branding, maybe we don't have the budget for it. But when you talk about branding, you're talking about the emotions, you're talking about the feelings, you're talking about how I feel when I interact with the people that run the business or someone
Mm.
at the service desk or something. And I have a feeling that like, oh, I like this company, or I like how they treat me. It seems like I'm seen, I'm heard. And then I get so interested to lean in and listen more. And then you
Mm.
don't have to have all these brand like these big funds to actually make a difference for your clients and for your company, because if you just have a good like culture in your company, you have good training for your team, that you are treating everybody the same, you have processes in place to make sure that no one is going to slip through the cracks, it makes a whole difference for the people that experience the brand, instead of thinking about, oh, I have to have this big fund because I have to do a rebranding. uh, the brand is
Yeah.
more than a logo, it's more like what the value you put into the logo.
Mm.
I think when I listen to you anyway, that's what I hear. Is that correct?
Yes, I think that it's an insight knowing that everything that you do kind of is interlinked in some way. So everything from you were talking about culture, your internal culture, and for your sales calls, how your office looks like, which type of ads you're going to do, or if it's social media or if it's Super Bowl ads. Um, all of those things need to somehow fit together, and it's so important to your brand will be stronger the better it fits together.
Yeah.
You can have massive budgets and do loads of things, but it's not gonna be very effective. It's not really gonna engage with your prospects or your clients or your coworkers if it's really like chopped up and there's something there. It needs to be this tight, like packaged, just brand which is just glued together.
Yeah. And I can see that you're so passionate about this. So it's really really cool to
Mm.
hear you explain it. So thank you so much. Let's talk about the common mistakes business owners do when they make their like when they think about branding, and what kind of things they can do to avoid
Mm.
those mistakes.
So one of the main thing is we've already touched upon it a couple of times, and that's thinking that I'm going to create a brand and therefore I'm going to make a logo. It's something that I repeat so often, and it's something that comes back to me so many times, that is the brand. It's not, the logo is not a brand. That is a symbol of what a brand is. And so it's just like a small detail, and people, as soon as they allocate how, we have some budget now, we're going to do something for, well, if it's we're going to freshen up a little bit, and then automatically becomes, let's do the logo, because that looks a little bit old. This was a couple of years ago since we last did it. And the problem is, it's a loop. It just goes round and round and say, oh, now we got some more budget and let's redo the logo again. And then a couple of years after that, it's just like, well, the logo looks a little bit old now, so let's do it one more time. So it's just a loop where basically where you're just producing things that will be thrown away, and which is a little bit dangerous. So that was, the logo was the first part, that thinking that's the only part of the brand. Another aspect which I'm just a little bit into is like maybe people um, why people might want to redo the logo is because the world is continuously evolving, and that means that there are new trends that are coming. And in marketing trends, communication trends, and the digital landscape, things are going very, very fast. And every year there are new trends of what you should do, and also recommendations what your logo should look like every year. So this is what people hear often and thinking that, okay, this is something that I have to change. I have to change my logo again. So yeah, following trends is a bad thing. So number two here on the list, like first, don't think that the logo is everything, and don't follow trends. It's important to be, they should be consistent, and that you have to believe in something that's a little bit more, much longer than just trends which last maybe a year or so. Think as, because this is strategy, and strategy is a long-term process, and you might have to tweak it along the way, but do like small adjustments. It's like any campaign, you fix it along the way, and that's what a strategy is. And you need to have a plan of, and you need to follow that plan. So that was number two. Once you have a plan, you also have to be consistent. That's point number three, is that you have to, don't throw things away because they didn't work in that second. You have to keep on working every day, for like, week after week, month after month, and then year. When you come to year and you realize that, no, how can we make this even better? Then you can tweak it, but you have to be consistent. And that means not only, for example, social media, there are social media plans you have to post, and then how you interact with potential clients. You have to keep on being, showing up, being on time. Yes, like, you promise to send over a report, send over the report, make sure that you do it in time. You have to be, everything is consistent, along with in sales, and it's in marketing as well, and it's also how people interpret your brand. You have to be consistent there too. What you show one day, make sure that you have the same feeling and approach the next day, and the week after that, and the month after that, because that's when people start feeling safe with your brand, either if it's your company or if as an owner. Because if you're, yes, they want to feel trust. You will create a feeling of trust when they realize, oh, this person has posted. I know that it's going to look this way because that's how it's looked for the past couple of times, and therefore I trust that. If it changes every day, people will start getting feelings like, oh, I'm not really sure. It doesn't seem like it's following some kind of plan here. Why should I pay for their services? Those things are very, very interlinked.
And I think the thing that you talked about when it comes to being consistent, I think that's one of the things that most service providers that are solo entrepreneurs or have a small team have a big problem being consistent, because
Yes.
they sometimes they want to over deliver, sometimes they don't. And when they don't over deliver, what happens then? Like someone expected you to over deliver because that's what they heard that you did, and now you're just
Yeah.
delivering on your promise. So that's one thing, that even if you have time right now to over deliver, don't do it, because you're gonna bite yourself when it comes to the next client that expect the same thing, and then you might be super busy, so you don't have time to over deliver. You don't have that time frame. That is
Yeah.
something. And I also think, like you talked about it, that with social media, that if you're not consistent, if you don't have a flow, it's hard to be consistent. Then you have to come up with
Yeah.
new creative ideas every single week, instead of, like I talk about in Business Heroes Academy, we talk about batching. We talk about how can I
Mm.
do a plan that is for one subject maybe, or one question every single week, which is different. And now I have talk points that I can
Mm.
talk about in all my posts.
Yeah.
And I think that is the experience that I have when my members come into our academy or any of our programs, that it's so hard to be consistent. And the amount of time that they would try to test something before they say it's working or not working is
Mm.
so short. Like you said, a
Yeah.
year, that's like a lifetime for a lot of people. They want to have a result in just a week or two and say, well, this is not working, so I have to close off my ads, or I'm not going to post about this anymore because I don't get any. And it's just
Mm.
because you haven't shown up every single week for quite some time before
Yeah.
they trust you. And now I start asking comments. Maybe now I'm asking, giving you a DM. Maybe now I'm doing this because I know that you're consistently showing up in front of me, and I get curious. Who are you, and can you help me with my problem? And I think that's something that you really touch on. That has to do with branding, and that's experience what we have with our clients and what we have with companies that we work with. If I can come back to like the personal brand, like we talk about LinkedIn quite a lot when it comes to business owners, and
Yeah.
they have a personal profile on LinkedIn, and they they use it more or less for like networking. They connect with people
Mm.
when they meet people at seminars, or they meet people on like in person or somewhere else. And then they have this company page, which is quite a not, it's there, but it's not so consistent, as you say, with the flow of communication. And now they have a problem with, okay, should I post on my personal profile or should I post on my company profile, especially if they are a solo entrepreneur or have a small team? So, could
Yeah.
you please address that kind of distress that people have when it comes to being consistent on LinkedIn for their personal brand?
Yeah, no, I completely understand it. It's I have trouble with this myself as well. Because you're put in a situation where you suddenly have two accounts, and it's difficult just having one account, knowing what you should post. But now suddenly you're given two, and then it tends that one of the channels it becomes the most dominant one, and the other one is more forgotten and maybe just used for reposts. So it's really important that well, if you've tried to figure out what is it that you want with LinkedIn is a professional network platform, of course. So you have to be there as a person. Now the company on the other side kind of comes along, especially when you're creating it yourself. If you're the owner of the company, so it wasn't there before. So, but you as a person, you've always been there. So now you have to figure out how I may, as a person on a professional platform, I can post things about myself, my career, my way forward. Um, Try to find those kind of content, which kind of mirrors me as an individual, and they can be closely linked to the company page, of course. But the company, what is it that this company's page is going to post? It could be you shouldn't really have the same posts on two different accounts, because it doesn't quite make sense. But you can always, let's say if you're posting um, on, it's a 5 years anniversary, you can do that as like, on my journey for past 5 years I've been building this, and I'm so grateful to work with these people building this company. Now you just have to tweak the content, and I'm sure that ChatGPT could help you convert this post into something for a company post, where it says it's like we're celebrating today that we've been existing. So you can tweak the content, but it's good to have on two different levels, because it's LinkedIn is a really person to person place. So I think the most important thing is you as a founder or as an owner as a company. that should create a lot of care with like building kind of a little miniature plan, if you like, of what kind of content do I want to contribute and what kind of content do people actually care about. Because there's a lot of stuff on LinkedIn that's not really that interesting to that people don't really care about.
Yeah, I totally agree with what you're saying, because a lot of people cross post on both instead of saying, "Hey, this is where it should be. It should be on the company page." And on my personal profile, I'm either linking to it or reposting it on but I'm sharing
Yeah,
it instead of having duplicate content, as you said. So I think
yeah,
this is something that you really have to think about. And when I had a digital agency, we used our company page much more, because then all my employees or the people that work with us had their name on their profile with a connection to a company. And if
yeah.
someone was checking us out for being on an internship with us, or maybe wanted to see if they can have a position at our place, they looked at the company page to see what's going on. Are they active? What kind of
Mm,
clients do they work with, and so forth. So then it
mm,
was so much more important than if you are a solo entrepreneur and you don't, you might just say, I'm not going to do the company page. I'm just going to do my personal page. And that's going to be enough. Because you, like you
mm,
said, I have now two places, and how should I manage to
mm.
do two if I just have to like have a hard time to do one?
Yeah, I think that the most important one is the personal page because if you look at the or in general, it's people's personal accounts that get the most likes and comments. It's it's those that are is most personal accounts that get the most followings. It's not companies. People are on LinkedIn to link with other individuals. They're not there to find companies. You can find companies on all other platforms. But not saying that the company page is not important. It's I believe that it's a little bit more important, or it's more important to focus on the personal page.
Yeah, and as you said, people are buying from people as well.
Yeah.
So they are not buying from companies in sense of buying from the company. If they connect with someone really good, even if you are
Mm,
in sales, or if you're an owner, or if you're a founder and you're looking for people to maybe fund your company, or you're looking for investors, you're looking for
mm,
collaboration partners, for vendors, this is a place where you have personal connections. And maybe when
yeah.
you have a deal with them, when everything is done in order, you more report it on the company page than it's done, that now it
Yeah.
exists a collaboration partnership with these people. So I
Yeah.
think this is the case of really thinking about what your brand is
Yeah.
supposed to give as a feeling when you come into the company page. Where is it? And I know people that
Yeah.
have company pages that just put in like a few posts on the page saying, we are not active here, we're not posting here, you can follow our owners or our founders here, here are the links to them, and here's our
Mm,
services, and here's what we do, but nothing else. There is no news, there is no like regular posting, just because they don't spend the time to have several accounts.
yeah.
So I think there is smart ways to actually make it happen so it feels really good and you feel welcome, but
Yeah.
you also feel like there is no expectations to do something about it anymore. Okay, so let's move into the thing that I love when I look at your, like when we meet. Usually, you have something in your background. When we have Zoom meetings, or if I come to one of your events, you have this really simplified template guide, like a design of your framework. Could you please explain a little bit more about it?
Yes. So I am a co-founder of the branding table. So directly in the name, you can hear that. Oh, I remember something in school called the periodic table, and that's where we kind of got this idea of how the world is built out of these periodic elements. For example, to create water, you have H2O, and that we started thinking branding as in a similar way, where there are different components of what does every company have, and also individuals. What do we have when we have a brand, for a personal brand or a company brand? What are the different elements? How can we pick it apart so we can get the foundations right and then build it from there? So we created the branding table which is structured of pretty much this is all the different elements that you have in your company, which are used. Some of these are for business strategies, some of them are for marketing, and some of them are for communications. But these are just elements that everybody has. And yeah, for those who are listening that on a podcast, we have these visual elements, I think, or visual tools that you can download. Is that right, Sarah?
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be in the show notes. So just go to the show notes and you can download it there.
Yeah. So great, then, because then I can refer to this as this image that I'm showing now. Is that we have, as you see, there's quite a lot of elements. There are 27. So when you first approach this, it might be a little bit. That's a lot of stuff to think about. I give up. I'm going home. But hang in there, because it's yeah, it's this is made to make everything a little bit easier when tackling like what is our brand, how should I work with my brand. So when you see this branding table, first you see that there are three different colors. And because when we talk about branding, there's actually three different categories when it comes to branding. Is a popular one called purpose. Why does your company exist? That is what was tackled there in the branding elements. There are 9 elements there in this category. So when people talk about purpose, some people think about the business idea, some think about the goal or maybe mission or vision. There's also sustainability. There are many things that could be just the purpose of the brand. There's not one purpose. There might be different ones, or there might be different angles. The next section, which is the blue section, is called the identity section. Logo is name and design put together. So that's how there isn't one thing that's just make me a logo. No, first you have to think about your names, and then you have to think about creating a design profile of how you look, like a manual or just like a system. So however things work together, and then you can make a new logo. So that's how we want to work with these elements. So the blue is that's where most people think a brand is, but it's only one category out of 3. And the final category, which is the yellow section, is the branding strategy. And this is where you go with like from if the red was the why, the blue was how, this is how, what should we do to actually reach out and actually be successful? So in a strategy, there's everything from, okay, what type of goals we have or objectives, what should we achieve with this strategy? And then it's like obstacles, opportunities, a target audience, do we want to reach, and then channel and messages. This is how pretty much how everything in your brand, like the moment you start a company and the moment you start talking to somebody else about your company, these elements by themselves start creating or start taking shape in another person's mind. So automatically they're just popping up there, because the more you talk, the more it's building, the more you're creating, and then suddenly you post something on LinkedIn, the brand starts building and starts living its own life. And that's the most important thing to remember, is that if you don't have a clear plan of what you are doing, doesn't have to be complicated, it just has to be clear. If you don't have a clear plan, then it's going to start shifting, and like some people are going to be thinking this way, some people are going to be thinking this way. They won't have the same interpretation because you're sending so many different signals. So what we have is like one of our foundations when we start working or talking with anybody is we ask people to just write down, okay, write down some answers to what your brand is. And that's usually when we realize that people haven't written down anything before. And then it's like, okay, well, if you haven't written it down, how can you follow what you've decided? And that's the beginning of the branding process.
I love it's so visual. It's so easy to grasp, even if it's like kind of overwhelming the first time you look at it, but more like when you deep dive into the description that you just said, it's like something that you really want to download. It's something you really want to put on your table in front of your desk and really think about all these things. And what would be like the first thing to look at if you haven't even written down the what the company stands for?
Interesting thing, I think it's as I mentioned, I've been working with larger clients and like global clients, and been in boardroom meetings talking about these things. And I've also been talking about 2 week, well, how do you call them? 2 week year olds founders who've just started the business 2 weeks ago, and start talking about these things with them. And what's fascinating is that on both levels have been existing for plus 50 years to just 2 weeks. They do have a tendency to have similar problems. Is when, especially tackling these are three questions to know for any founder. Is asking, what is your goal? And then you write it down. Great. So the goal is something that you should achieve in the near future. You could see it. It's possible. I can reach it. I'm going to work like crazy, but I can do it. So maybe 5 to 10 years, or yeah, 3 years. It depends on what type of business you have and how. But you can do it. Then the next question is, what is your mission? What is it that you wake up every day and you say, today I'm going to deliver this? And this is something you can deliver. You can deliver it in your product or service. You can deliver it in a mail that you say, hi, just checking up. I'm delivering my mission in this little message to you. So the question is, what is your mission? What do you wake up and want to achieve every single day? And you can do this every day. That's your mission. And then you have your vision, which is so long term. You have to think about, yeah, what is it if I live my mission every day and I achieve my goal? What is eventually in 10, 20, 30 is so far away? I think we can make the world a better place. And this is my vision. So you formulate it as, my vision is, I believe in a world that, and then you paint a picture of that world where everybody are happier. Everybody can walk safely to school. It's where you include everybody and a world, and it's massive. You can't do it by yourself, but you need like collaborators, other companies. But you are talking about a vision, because this is what's gonna make other people have emotions about your brand, because you're saying, I'm here to make the world better. I'm not just here to make money. So those three questions are great for any founder.
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you so much. I like to have like step-by-step inclusions into our shows because it's something I want people to get clear on something. I think that you made it very clear. I want people
Hmm.
to not be overwhelmed because now they're clear.
Yeah.
And now
Yeah.
they also can go into action because they have the action plan that you actually are giving them in the show
Yeah.
notes that they can download and just run with it. So thank you so much very much. Uh, is there anything that you would like to leave the listeners or the people that look at this show with before we end the conversation?
Because now I focus a little bit about goal, mission, and vision, which is very important. But that only covers like one part. I would like to introduce, it's a formula which kind of summarizes your entire strategy. As I mentioned, the branding table is 27 elements. It's a bit complicated, but we've narrowed it down. So instead of thinking about so many elements per category, there are just three things that you have to be very, very clear on to make a simpler strategy that makes all other decisions a lot easier. And that would be, for example, that you have to know the value that you create from, for example, your product or services. People buy that because that helps them in some way. And then the question is, in that some way, what is that? People buy like, okay, maybe because, it makes my day more effective. Great. What is the value of them getting a more effective day? So you find that, because then you can start posting on LinkedIn, for example, about that value, not about the product or service, but about that value. And that could be for a founder or it could be for a company. The second thing would be knowing your position. And this is your brand position. How are you different compared to everybody else out there? And that, for example, could be, it's just a word saying that our position is, for example, we are the fastest. If you are the fastest one, nobody else can compare with you. Then people will have in their mind, it's like, okay, I want to have this service, but I think it usually tends to be quite slow. Maybe we can have the fastest one. That's them. I choose them. Or it could be like the most caring company, or it could be the most down to earth. There's like a lot of different words or phrases that you can be used to separate yourself from competitors, and that's how you're different. And then the third point is how what is your unique way of solving problems, and especially if you're a founder-led company or an owner-led company, then it tends to be how the owner has started building the company. This is how we work, this is how our culture is defining what that process is, which is really important. um, because then it's like how you make decisions, how you work together. It becomes a very simple plan. And so these three together, value, position, and method, can they answer the questions: why you exist, how you're different, and what you do to succeed. And they can be summarized in this nice little strategic formula, which is we create value, that's very obvious, as the most differentiating or unique by always doing it our way. Now, this formula is something that anybody in the business can remember, and that will help them make good decisions, which in that sense are strategic. Therefore, this solves your entire long-term thinking and makes the entire business more effective. So yeah, so that was the what I just wanted to put in there as well, that you can download.
Oh, great. Thank you so much. So, if someone wants to get in touch with you and connect with you, what is the best social media? Where's your website? I know we're going to put that into the show notes as well, but it could be good for the pod listeners to also know about it.
Yeah, so it's we mentioned LinkedIn. So yes, I'm on LinkedIn. So please connect there. And if you have any questions regarding these questions, just connect with me. And we're also going to be producing a lot of video content. So we have a YouTube channel also that we just launched. So you can also find us there.
Yeah, and I
And
know
it's
also that you have a card deck where you have the branding table as well. So it's like you can have cards that you can buy on your website, right?
Yes. So for those that are really interested in working with workshops and working in a team, then we have physical cards that you can work with. And we also have a little bit of tutorials how to guide you in that process as well. So that you
Yeah.
can find on our website.
And also, if you are in Sweden, you can come to one of your workshops, or you can go into your trainings, or are you also going to have that online eventually?
Yes. So yeah. So I work here in Stockholm, in Sweden, and there's also here we have workshops. We also have digital workshops. You could either do it as single workshops in your company, or you could do like a in a group workshop where you meet other companies as well. And it's always great to meet other companies and discuss, and you get this feedback straight away. And we're also building with Kajabi. We're also building an online platform, so it's going to be available there soon as well.
Yeah, we're gonna publish that into the
Where I
show
get your
notes.
help, Sarah, uh,
Yeah.
your expertise.
Exactly. Thank you. So I think that you have a mission to simplify the branding, and you have the branding table, which is so visually, like emotionally visually, because I think that's what grabbed me to look at what you are building inside of in your business, because I think that there is so much that we lack of in a business where we go ad hoc doing things and we're not looking at the complete picture that actually makes the branding. So I think this is an amazing thing that you're going to bring to the world. So I'm so looking forward
No,
to
thank
make
you.
that happen with you. I just want to say a huge thank you for spending time with me and the listeners and the people that are looking at the show. I'm so sure that people are going to be looking into whatever you are doing and get more nudges if they follow you on LinkedIn and see what you're posting. And when they start you're using the things that they can download, they're going to see immense value and not being
Yeah.
stuck anymore. They will be more clear on what they should
Mm.
post, what they should do in their business. Maybe they have to improve their business product or service. Maybe they have to
Yeah.
look at the how they can build the culture around this, both for their customers. Maybe they have a membership, or maybe they will start having team and building activities that actually working on their brand will be amazing as an
Yeah.
asset too. So I think that you can use it for so many things, and
Yeah.
I am looking forward to see what comes out of that when the listeners are coming back with feedback and saying,
Yeah.
this is what I did, this is the aha I got. So we both would like to have that aha from you. So if you're downloading it, you're using it in any way, send us a DM or connect with us, write in the comments underneath this video and tell us how you're using it, because I think that's a step that we want. Kim is here for a long-term game. He wants to make him, he's on a mission, and he has a vision of
Yeah.
what he's going to do with simplified branding for all. So you can do
Yeah.
it by yourself, or you can get help doing it with someone, or you can do it with Kim and his team. So thank you so much again. Bye.
Okay. Bye bye.